Okay, everybody, time for our Week 6 Power Rankings, ranking the NFL's top 12 teams heading into Week 6. And no, the Rams are not in my top 12. The Rams are not in the green room. Sorry to say, but still going to go through who I think belongs in the top 12 and who is just outside, maybe just outside looking in. Let's get into it. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up to the number one team. In the green room, I have the Jets, Cardinals, Chargers, and Steelers, as well as the Seahawks in the green room. The Jets, showed pretty well in England against I'm not going to give it away, one of the best teams in the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings. And then they fired their coach, Robert Saleh, done as the Jets coach. The Cardinals go in to Santa Clara and beat the 49ers. Pretty impressive. Shut out the 49ers in the second half. And then the Chargers were off. The Steelers and the Seahawks, both in the green room as well. They, kind of about where I thought they should be. Not in the top 12. They both start at 3-0, and I wasn't impressed. I had them at number 11 and 12 for 1 week. And I said, hey, sometimes I'm dead wrong, but I think on the Seahawks and Steelers, I was dead right. Undeserving of a high ranking. I saw the Steelers as high as number 2 somewhere. And I'm like, what are you people thinking? Their offense is pretty mediocre. They had an easy schedule up to that point. And now we're learning what the Steelers and Seahawks are really about. And then also in the green room, the Saints and Bucks. And the reason they are, I mentioned them last, is because my number 12 team is the Atlanta Falcons. And you could probably put the Saints or the Bucks there at number 12. The Falcons beat the Bucks at home, though, in an extremely close game. The Saints could, they're 3-2. I'm sorry, they're 2-3, could very easily be 4-1, right? The Chiefs game was one that got away from them. Other than that, meant 2 heartbreaking losses. But I'm giving the number 12 spot to the Falcons. And like I say, Bucks, Saints, Falcons, take your pick. Let's see, who do I have at number 11? The Dallas Cowboys. They are out of the green room and back into the top 12. Pretty good win there at Pittsburgh. Don't want to get too overexcited, because based on, what I just told you about how I feel about the Steelers. So Cowboys down 2 of their best defenders, get it done at the end. Really big win for them to improve to 3-2. They're my number 11 team. My number 10 team, the Eagles, they move up 2 spots. They're on a bye, so they're moving up based on the futility of some other teams. And number 9, the Green Bay Packers, they move up 2 spots too, kind of the same thing. I am not as excited about the Packers as some folks. They were missing 2 of their top players against the Rams. The Rams were really banged up and struggling to find a way to win. So the Packers, have they had a really impressive win thus far? I don't think so. Not really. I don't know. Packers have a lot to prove, in my opinion, but they do move up 2 spots to number 9. My number 8 team dropping 2 spots, the 49ers. I had them at 6, and they continue to sink. And, on the one hand, I'd like to drop them out of the top 12, but we know what this team is capable of. Not sure when CMC's coming back. Other than that, their defense, not as solid as we've expected from this franchise. Now, last year, their defense had similar problems, though. So maybe the real 49er defense is slowly revealing itself. It's not as great as we think, perhaps. And they were shut out. That offensive machine was shut out in the second half at home. So they drop 2 spots to 8. Number 7, holding steady. The Washington Commanders continue to roll. They hammered the Browns, improved to 4-1. And, it's kind of a dilemma here. On the one hand, I think they'd beat probably everybody in the league right now the way they're playing. except for maybe the top 2 or 3 teams here. But let's pump the brakes a little bit on it. Let's see what they do over the next few weeks. They have some interesting games on their schedule, including the Ravens. So we'll find out a lot more about the Commanders next week. They're 6.5-point underdogs, by the way. Number 6, dropping 3 spots, the Buffalo Bills, probably being a little bit harsh. You go on the road and you play a really good team and you lose a close one. But, when you look at the teams above them, it kind of makes sense, I think. Although maybe I should have them above the number 5 Lions. The Lions holding steady at number 5, did not play. Number 4, moving up 4 spots, the Texans got it done at home against the Bills. Really close game. Texans just need to be a little bit more consistent, I think, for I'm totally buying in on them. But they're my number 4 team, the biggest riser of the week, really, right? Number 3, dropping, actually climbing 1 spot, the Kansas City Chiefs, an unspectacular win in my opinion. They've been unspectacular all year, really, but 5-0, got to give it to them. They beat the Saints on a Monday night, so they creep up 1 spot. And my top 2 teams are unchanged. Number 2, the Ravens. They win that crazy divisional road game against the Bengals. Man, Bengals needed that desperately and kind of gave it away. Ravens improved to 3-2. They started out 0-2, so winners of 3 straight. I don't think they've played their best football yet. That's the thing about the Ravens, but Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and that's what I loved about this team before the season started. That's a difficult thing to deal with if you're a defense. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the same backfield. They're my number 2 team, and holding on to the number 1 spot, the Minnesota Vikings beat the Jets in England. If it weren't for that pick 6, might have been a tough. Vikings might have suffered their first loss, but man, their coach Kevin O'Connell doing a great job there. I think his play calling, the Vikings offensive play calling is excellent, and they have a really good DC there now as well. They're going to be a tough out. Clearly the number 1 team, clearly deserving of the number 1 spot. Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson. Wow. Man, how excited are the Minnesota Vikings fans right now? Got to be elated, because if you look at the NFC, the Lions, Commanders, and 49ers, and the Packers, Eagles, Cowboys. I don't know. I don't think the Vikings, I think at this point the Vikings are the cream of the crop in the NFC. Going to be some fun divisional games coming up, though, with the Lions and Packers, and even the Bears. NFC North, suddenly a tough division. But I think as Ram fans, we'd like the Vikings to win out, except for that Thursday night game. Give these other teams some losses and hope the Rams can steal a wild card spot. A problem being Bears, Packers, Lions all have the head-to-head advantage over the Rams already, and that is not good. But Vikings, my number 1 team, no question about it, out here from Rams Up.